This is the book of Matthew, chapter 24, verse 12. And it reads, "And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold." 2 Timothy, chapter 3, verse 1. "This is also known in the last days, perilous times shall come." Ecclesiasticus, which is Sirach 39 and 28. There be spirits that are created for vengeance, which lay in their fury lay on sore scrooks. In the time of destruction, they pour out their force and appease in the wrath of them of that made him. Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem, Wakakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, pushing this word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim, scattered through the four corners of the globe, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim that be like unto the speckled bird, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. I say shalom to you Akim out there. And this is a news article for In the News, published by Jill Bled and Sean Murphy of the Associated Press. And this was about an hour ago. That was posted on AssociatedPressNews.com. And a highlight of this news article, and it reads, Salaki for that. It said, "Deaths of 8 in Oklahoma investigated as a murder-suicide." And it says the death of 8 family members, including 6 children, found in a burning Oklahoma home, are being investigated as a murder-suicide. Authorities said Friday police are trying to determine whether both the adults were involved in the killings. And it says the children were from the range in age 1 to 13 years old, were the victims of Broken Arrow Police Chief Brandon Hill said during a news conference. He did not provide their identities, age, or explain their relationships to one another, except to say that they were family members, including to be living in the home. Police said the both adults who lived in the home were considered primary suspects because they were found dead in front of the home, while the children were all found in the bedroom where the fire was contained. A spokesperson declined to say whether the authorities believe the 2 adults were both responsible for the killings or whether it could have been just be one of them, probably potentially one of them. And I'm gonna bring out another news article as well too. It says this is a everythinglubbock.com, and this is from Texas. After the first news article that was from Oklahoma City, now this one from Texas, I believe a suburban part of Texas, and this was posted about 2 days ago. And from everythingLubbock.com, published by Chris Whited and Caitlin Rooney and James Clark of 2 days ago. And a highlight of this news article, and it reads, identities released for 4 killed after shots fired, house fire in Lubbock. The Little Park Police Department has released an additional information concerning a shooting in Arsenal that left 4 people dead in South Little Park early Wednesday morning. According to the press release from the LPD, the deceased identified 46-year-old, 18-year-old, 15-year-old, and a 48-year-old. And it says police confirmed there were no threats to the public. The shots fired were at 1:01 a.m. in the morning. According to the ALPD, Lubbock Fire Rescue said it dispatch Salaki slip of the tongue. Center was called for for the fire just after 11:15 a.m. and firefighters were on the scene less than 1 hour and a half in minutes. Editorial note: the LPD press release spelled Angelica with a J. However, her driver's license spelled her name Angelica with a G. We updated the spelling in our story to match the driver's license. And it says an investigation into the death of 4 individuals is underway by the Metropolitan Special Crimes Unit following a Wednesday morning house fire in South Lubbock of Texas. Lubbock police officers were called to the 4100 block of 124th Street at 1:01 a.m. The reports of shots fired upon arrival. Officials observed the residents showing flames once they realized they were unable to make the entries due to the flame. Officials cleared residents to the east and west. Lubbock Fire Rescue were on the scene at 1:22 a.m., which point the homes were fully engulfed. LAFR was able to contain flames to the single residence, and the fire was out by 2:09 a.m. One side, investigators located 4 deceased individuals who were later identified as the 60-year-old, 18-year-old, and a 15-year-old, and a 48-year-old. Lubbock Police of the Lubbock Fire Rescue and the Lubbock Fire and Marshals all responded to the scene. No arrest has been made and the investigation is ongoing. So yeah, as I bring out those scriptures, because of iniquity shall abound, Matthew 24:12, because the iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold, and 2 Timothy 3:1. Knowing also in the latter days perilous times should come, and we are definitely living in those times. And the love of many waxing cold is increasing even more. Lawlessness is increasing. The love of others waxing cold by the day, and we're seeing it on an everyday basis. Especially here in the United States, the love of many just waxing cold, even worse and worse, worse. And I'm gonna bring out this news story from Nancy Pelosi's husband. If I pronounce her name right, Salaki.
This election, go before you vote. Check out the voters guide at NBCChicago.com. See where the candidates
Spelling kind of off.
That's something very important to Greg Popovich as well as he tries to teach his young players the values.
Right, because the love of many is waxing cold more and more in the latter days.
I'll tell you what, though, it's great for these young kids to be able to, for a Hall of Fame coach to start their young career, to get off to a great
And I believe this is the individual that did this.
professional on and off the court. A lot of times you don't come to the league being able to play for guys like that.
And this is a news article from the Sacramento Bee, published by Maggie Enskus, updated October 28th, 2022 at 4:20 p.m. conspiracy theorists, racists post what we know about the Nancy Pelosi home invasion suspect. And it says a suspect broke into the house of Speaker Nancy Pelosi's San Francisco home on October 28th and a violently assault on her husband, according to the spokesperson. Authorities say from San Francisco, and authorities say on Friday, identifying the suspect invading the San Francisco home of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and attack her husband Paul with a hammer. As the 42-year-old David Deepak was booked into a San Francisco County jail Friday afternoon on a long list of charges, including attempt homicide, assault with a deadly weapon, elderly abuse, burglary, and threatening the family member of a public official. San Francisco Police Chief William Scott, it says, during a news briefing Friday that officials arrived at Pelosi's home early Friday morning and found Deepak and Paul Pelosi fighting over a hammer, which Deepak then used to beat Paul. Deepak motives for the target attacks is still under investigation, and Nancy Pelosi was in Washington, D.C. during the time of the attack. And it says pedestrian. Oh, that's something else. CNN reported that Deepak's Facebook account, which has been taken down by the social media company, contained memos and conspiracy theories about the code word 19 in the 2020 election, and a blog written under the name of Deepak, which is domain, and the banner of the reads "Welcome to the Big Brother's Censorship Hell," includes and titled "You Know What," normalization of facts, and you know what did nothing wrong. So I don't know, it seemed like this guy that attacked Nancy Pelosi's husband, he seemed like he had some far right views. It says, with his posts containing a right-wing conspiracy theories, a quantum beliefs, and racist messages, he repeatedly rallied against the you-know-what officials, the media, and tech companies for allegedly censorship. The blog, created in 2007, was largely inactive until this summer, when he made dozens of posts in the span of just 4 days in August. Another website with entries also driven by a person who identified as Dave Deepak similarly contains a you-know-what bigotry post, including the denial of you-know-what. I'm not gonna say it because I'm speaking in code, because I don't want no strike on my channel. It says Gene Deepak, who identified as the stepfather of David Deepak, grew up in Powell River, British Columbia, but left for the United States in 2003. Oh, so he's not from the United States. Oh, he's from British Columbia. Oh, okay. He said he has not seen or spoke to his stepson since. All I know, he was never violent. So totally surprised me. He told a Sacramento Beat reporter, adding that he was extremely worried about Dave Deepak's children. According to the 2008 Oakland, meant to say, I had to rephrase that, Slovakia, Tribune article, Deepak has 3 children with Hakeem Gipsy and 12 and prompt Bay Area new activists who push the you know what, including the you know what was in inside JOB you know what in attempts to stage a naked wedding on the steps of San Francisco City Hall in a 2000. This guy was kind of crazy. It says a 2013 article in the San Francisco Chronicles identified David Popp as a hemp jewelry maker who was living in the Berkeley Victorian flat with Tab, their three children, and Tab's partner at the time, Jamin Smith, if I pronounce the name right. Tab was found guilty in 2021 of stalking and attempt to abduct a 14-year-old boy. What the heck? It says, according to the California Department of Corrections. Wow, this guy had a series of crimes in the past. It says Tab was admitted into prison in December 2021, and he was currently serving time at the California Institute of Women. The attack on Pelosi in San Francisco. Paul Pelosi, which is Nancy Pelosi's husband. And it says the San Francisco police officers responded to a report prior to a well-being check at 2:27 a.m. on Friday at the scale at Pelosi's home in San Francisco upscale Pacific Heights neighborhood, according to the Scott. As of Friday afternoon, authorities have not yet revealed how the paper was able to breach in Pelosi's home, but according to multiple reports, suspect barrage and yelled, "Where is Nancy? Where is Nancy?" It says when officials arrived at the scene, they found the Paul and Paul Pelosi, 82, both clutching to a single hammer. The Paul pulled the hammer away from Paul Pelosi and began to violently assault him, Scott said. It says officials quickly tackled and disarmed the assailant, and both DePep and Paul were transported to the hospital. It says Paul Pelosi underwent surgery on Friday at the Zinsburg, San Francisco General Hospital to repair a skull fracture, as well as serious injuries to his right arm and his hands, according to the love of many is waxing cold out here nowadays. Wow, increasing. It says afternoon statement by Nancy Pelosi spokesperson. His doctor expected a full recovery. The FBI, San Francisco Police, and the U.S. Capitol Police has opened a joint investigation on the incident. We are working closely with them right now. With the respect to the investigation, we are proceeded with the preparation charges, said San Francisco District Attorney Brooke Jenkins. Although investigations has not officially tied the Pop to any you-know-what groups as of Friday afternoon, some Democratic leaders speculate that rhetoric from the FARRIGHT may play a role in the Pup's motivation for the attack. This attack is terrifying and direct results of toxic rhetoric and inclinement against Speaker Pelosi and many other progressive leaders. The Senate winner, the Democratic of San Francisco, said in a statement, "Words have consequences, and without question, the GOP hate and the you-know-what has breed political violence and must hold accountable leaders and public figures who entice this violence. Governor Gavin Newsom called the attack another example on the dangerous consequences of the violence, and you know what, you know what that is, putting lives at risk to undermining our very democracy and democratic institutions. And it says those who are using their platforms to entice you know what must be held to an account. He said our leaders should never fear for their safety and the safety of their families in surviving the people who were elected to represent in their homes, not at the U.S. Capitol, not anywhere. So yeah, oh yeah, I'm gonna bring back out that Ecclesiasticus 39 and 28, which is Sirach 39 and 28. Yeah, man, that's spirit be created for vengeance, and that's what we're seeing in the latter days, you know. So yeah, love of many waxing cold out here, man. We're definitely in those times. Lawlessness is definitely increasing. It says Ecclesiasticus chapter 39, verse 28, and it reads, "There be spirits that are created for vengeance, that with in their fury lay on sore strokes. In the time of their destruction they pour out their force and appease of the wrath of him that made them." Right, because that spirit of vengeance is increasing now more so than ever. And the love of many waxing cold, and lawlessness is definitely increasing because the waxing, you know, the love of many is definitely waxing cold. I mean, it's increasing by the day, you know. Second Ezra, chapter 15, verse 16. For there should be division among men, invading one another. There should not regard their kings nor their princes. In the course of their actions should stand in their power, right? And this information was coming out about this guy was from British Columbia. He moved to the United States in either 2003 or 2013, something like that. And they said he had you know, the people on the right hand side, he had those type of view, what you call that, beliefs and views of that. That's people's on the right hand side. And, you know, so the guy, he know what he was doing, you know. And he came into Nancy Pelosi's upscale San Francisco home where he came in to attack Nancy Pelosi's husband, and he was looking for Nancy Pelosi, you know, because he had those on the right hand side views, and he was and he had a rap sheet of history of violence. So you know, this guy was crazy. So he know who he was targeting. You know, Nancy Pelosi, the House Speaker. And I think when I was reading through the old news article, it said at the time Nancy Pelosi was in Washington, D.C. Doing her work as the House Speaker, you know, and her husband was 82 years old at home at the time. So the guy, he broke into Nancy Pelosi's home where her husband was there. I believe the guy had a hammer, and then they got into a little scuffle trying to, Nancy Pelosi's husband trying to get the hammer away from the intruder, you know. And he severely beat him, hit him in the head. It was so bad that his skull was kind of fractured. in hands, he on his hands and arms was badly bruising and wounded due to the violent attack. So, hey, that's what these citizens in these countries, they shall not regard their kings nor their princes, the one that's in power. And these citizens in the uproar of these people that's on the left hand side or the right hand side, you know, and that, I'm not gonna say it, but hey, seeing that increasing as well too. So, hey, these people in the uproar of these political leaders and figures that's in power, and they take these citizens of these countries, they take it to a whole nother level, And I did a video early too about Mark 3:25 when they when the house be divided against itself. I did a sit down lesson when I was outside earlier today. I did a video earlier, after camp and stuff like that. About, I told you a story about not too long, about a couple of days ago. And I mentioned over there in Arizona, they had like because the midterm elections is coming up very soon, early voting, and a lot of people casting their ballots in for early voting. And you had like masked and armed people was next close to the voter box ballot thing, trying to scare away, the citizens of Arizona from voting, either from the liberal side or conservative side. They was just scaring them away, like, hey, you shouldn't make this choice. It's not the right decision. Make sure you make the right decision, who you're gonna vote for, So here you are, you had like a mask, an armed person was fully armed, full armor gear and everything, armed with a rifle and stuff like that. Hey, that's that sedition among men. That Isaiah 19:2. The Egyptian should go in against the Egyptian, because the modern day Egyptians is the modern day Babylonians. Here in modern day Babylon. And, in the latter days, people are going to be in that sedition among man's spirit, invading one another. And they definitely should regard their kings nor their princes. And they should stand in their power, and that's what we're seeing. They got these crazy people that go to these social media apps, and they show their views of beliefs of what they believe in. And they highly against these people that's in power, or these high rank jobs of people that's in power. That's why the citizens, they gonna be in an uproar of these people of their leaders that's in power. And they might take it to a whole nother level. Hey, these are the times that we are living in. And I believe there was a report came out about like they had this Antifa versus the Proud Boys. They had like I believe like the police department have intel information about that. That's at Mark 3:25. If a house be divided against itself, how shall it stand? And that's what we're seeing in modern day Babylon. The divided states of Babylon. That's what we're in, because you got both sides, people that support the left hand side and ones on the right hand side. You got groups that they full pro this, and then people on the other side, on the right hand side, those different groups that support anti the things that people that supports on the left. So, hey, that's that great division between the nations and the people, and that's what we're seeing in these different groups, of their beliefs and what they believe in, So we're seeing that great division as well too, Isaiah 19:2, the modern day Egyptian against the modern day Egyptians, then Mark 3:25. If a house be divided against itself, how shall it stand? You know, that I just wanted to add the 2 notes on that as well too. You know, say, hey, yes, there's gonna be an increased lawlessness in the latter days as well too. You know, that's what we're seeing, especially around election time, the midterm elections. And I believe one of the elder brothers, cause he be doing like lessons as well too, and he be on the highways and byways. He showed one video I was looking at earlier today. They had over there in California, Berkeley, you had two political groups. They was going at it with one another. People on the left hand side and one on the right hand side. You know, they was hitting each other with chairs and stuff. Gates, what you call those steel gate things, to block off the protesters and stuff like that. Hey, that's what we seeing. That sedition among man's spirit. You know, and that's what we're seeing. You know. And I'm gonna bring it out again for edification's sake. This is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 15, verse 16. For there shall be sedition among men, invading one another. They shall not regard nor kings nor their princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Right, and that's what we're seeing. You know, that great division and that great sedition among man's spirit that's increasing in modern day Babylon. You know, the division between the nations of a different group that who they associate with. You know, these groups on the left hand side and on the right hand side. So hey, so that guy, he had the views of what he was believing in. He was posting certain things on social media in regards to that situation. You know. So yeah, hey, that's what we're seeing in the latter days. You know. And I'm gonna look up the definition of perilous, right? Because we are living in those increasing, dangerous, perilous times. You know. Let's see. You know, because it's getting crazy out here, man. This is the definition of perilous. Perilous is a definition of perilous. Full or involving parallel is a perilous journey. It says other words from perilous. Perilous is perilously, adverb, perilousness, a noun. And it says synonyms of perilous: dangerous, grave, grievous, hazard, jeopardizing, menacing, perilous, risky, serious, threatening, unhealthy, unsafe, virtuosome. Yep. So hey, dangerous, perilous times that we're living in, you know, and these things increasing, you know. So yeah, we're living in those dangerous, perilous times, you know, and it's gonna increase and it's gonna ramp up even more and more and more, you know. And that great tribulation, that's gonna increase as well too. So yeah, you know, we're living in the latter days of these things are increasing, you know. So with that, hope this sit down lesson was edifying through the spirit, power, grace, and mercy of Yahweh Yahushua. And first and foremost, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Akarkadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, preaching this word truthfully and sincerely. Shalom to the Akim, scattered through the four corners of the globe. That be like unto the speckled bird, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And until next time, I would say shalom and a ball.
Bulls fans want to rock the same stylish eyewear the Bulls wear off the court. I just like the combo.